Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Gina Crosheck joining us here, the owner of PrismsScape's Gems and Healing Center based out of Iowa City, Iowa. She joins us again live today on the podcast to, of course, talk more about her healing jewelry, crystals, and again, all of her divine services that she offers with energy healing, Reiki, past life regression, and so much more. And perfect time here for Thanksgiving. I know we're going to talk a little bit about gratitude and so much more. So thank you so much for being here again. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's really, although it has gotten cold here.
Oh, yes.
And so we have been getting cold winds, and we're now below the 30s in the evening. So other than that, we're doing great.
Beautiful. Well, it's a pleasure to have you back. Excited that you're here. And for new people chiming in today on the podcast, tell us a little bit about your metaphysical company before we get into today's details and topics, please.
Okay. So we are a metaphysical store, a shop, we call it, and a healing center. So we focused almost completely on crystals, healing crystals, and various iterations. So rough specimens, we have tumbled stones, we have jewelry, we have all sorts of carved animals and things in that way, in terms of just what the crystals are and whether people believe in the healing power of crystals or not. They're quite beautiful, and so they're quite beneficial to people to just have in their presence. And we also have a healing center, and we have 6, soon to be 7, people working out of here and doing their work. So
amazing, amazing. Well, thank you
and
for
we've been in business 10 years.
God bless. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for this.
Thank
And
you.
I know to kind of tie things in today to the Thanksgiving holiday that's coming up, I know you want to discuss a little bit about gratitude, right?
I do. And I wanted to, there were a couple of things because gratitude is so important. In fact, I was talking with a friend yesterday.
Yeah.
And she commented that gratitude is the highest vibration word we have. It's sort of a difference between gratitude and joy. Joy is also a very high frequency word. And there was, for if people who are interested in this sort of thing, there was work done by a Japanese man named Dr. Emoto. And he looked at the messages in water, and he used different words and how the water responded, and then he froze them in ice crystals or snowflakes, and it was just absolutely amazing. And so if you were doing if you were meditating, what a difference the water was. And if you played heavy metal music, it just wouldn't even make a crystal.
Wow.
And so gratitude is one of those words that really made a difference.
Oh my goodness. I've heard of that. And I saw the way they freeze and the different crystals. And it's like, yeah, this is real. This is fascinating. Yeah.
It is real. And if people meditate over the water or pray, and a lot of people often ask, well, do prayers really matter? And the answer is yes, prayers really matter. And he was one really good example of that. And teaching us. And people do gratitude journals. Have you ever done a gratitude journal?
No, but I've done gratitude writings. Like I put them on Post-its, so it's not a full journal, but I put them around my house like a vision board type thing. So journaling would be more like you're committed to like every day, right? Could you share?
It doesn't have to be, but one of the things is I've got one friend on Facebook who every day she lists things she's grateful for. And she's sort of funny because she always lists bacon. That's one of the things that she's very grateful for. But yes, becoming conscious of the things in our world which make our lives better. and that we are grateful for, and we is really, really important. And Thanksgiving is one of those things. So,
Uh-huh. Amazing. By the way, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Let me just ask.
so my husband George has a brother who has six children. He and his wife have six children. They're all grown, of course. And I think I'm not sure how many grandchildren, lots.
Wow.
And so we usually go to their house
Mm-hmm.
for Thanksgiving, and it's just a good time. And the day after Thanksgiving, it's we do a great tradition that his mother started, and that is making collages.
Oh, okay.
So
Ooh, wait,
it is, which is a pastry, sort of like a Danish. So it's made with potato water
oh,
and, of
wow.
course, flour and things like that. And then you filled the center with some sort of fruit filling, usually. Although we have been known to create fillings like cottage cheese and raisins or cream cheese and
Mm-hmm.
different things. So, yeah, that is a good time, and they'll make dozens of collages.
Well,
So,
can I tell you honest something? I don't even know what they are. I have to
so
Google it.
it's
What is
Czech.
it?
So George's family comes from both sides of his family.
Oh,
Come from the Czech Republic area.
okay.
The Crosheck side, which is the family name, actually started out as Cozy Czech,
Ooh,
but an English teacher in one of those schools didn't thought the name was impossible to spell, so she then gave them the name Crosheck and
okay.
made it impossible for, as George puts it, for the Bohemies because it came out of the Bohemian
Okay.
area of the Czech Republic and to spell. But yeah, so that's sort of what we do when we
Oh,
just have a lot of sitting around talking to family,
yeah.
catching up. Sometimes they play games. So how about you?
I'm actually, well, taking it easy. Just me and my two boys. They're 7 and 9. We're going to my aunt's house very close by. We live on Long Island, about an hour away from
Hmm.
New York City. Everyone thinks you live in New York and you're in the big city. No, no, no. We're in the suburbs. And I
Hmm.
think the next day we're going to leave at like 3 or 4 in the morning. So kind of like the night of Thanksgiving. I want to drive down to Williamsburg, Virginia. Never been. And I want to take my kids to Busch Gardens to see like the Christmas town. So that's what I have in
Oh, that'll
mind.
be fun.
Yeah, I've never been. I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm worried about the weather because I just heard there's some storms coming in our way. I'm not sure which way they're coming from into New York, so I got to
Mhm.
watch out for that.
Yeah. Well, the big winds are the thing that are getting us. We've got like 45-mile-an-hour winds.
Wow.
But so one of the other things I wanted to talk about was service, because
Okay.
that is, we just had Veterans Day, which we all sort of know and say thank you for your service to anyone who served. But there's so many other ways of serving that it becomes important, because for us to understand and appreciate
Mm-hmm.
it sort of goes hand in hand with the gratitude, to be able to appreciate people and their service. And there's so many different service sectors anymore. I mean, what you do is a service to the rest of the world. And it may just seem, whether you realize it or not, it's very important work that you do when you're bringing and introducing new people to people and new topics to those around us. And it becomes important for us um, to fully embrace that and to appreciate that we really are doing something for others. I think one of the things that, because I often say that we're in divine service and the divine guides us,
Mm-hmm.
and so I made a few notes this afternoon or morning sometime about that, in terms of it's divine services in recognition of the oneness of all we are. We are God, one with all there is. And then to be in divine service is to commit to working with the divine to serve humankind in a loving and positive way. And that to me is what our work is.
Okay.
And in terms of, it's sort of like we've got this small treasure of a shop, but it's not run like your normal businesses because it is so committed to helping others and to assisting others to really make it through this life that we have and to discover themselves. A lot of people come in, and the whole idea of self-discovery is part of the service that I feel like those who are working in this shop are all about, is really helping others to sort the world out.
Perfect. I think it's beautiful because it's just that time of year where everything feels so, I don't know, what's the word? I want to say homey. I want to say loving. I want to say family. I want to say community. I want to say giving back. I want to say, just really appreciate the things that we have. And
Mhm.
I like this time of year, except the cold, but yeah.
Well,
And
yeah.
and I know there's different, ways of the seasons and how that affects our bodies. You know more than us with energy. And, let me just ask you during this time of year, right? We're in the fall season, for those of us, feeling that chill. And what normally shifts, like, what do you pick up during this time of year, compared to, the summer, right? Well, what happens to our energy and all? What do you
It
want to?
really, a lot of it has to do with the light
Okay.
and how much light we have. And so, like, one of the things that's interest that I do in the morning is I check how many hours of sunlight we're going to have. And then you look at the different parts. I have, when I have friends, I have where their weather pulled up so I can look and see what's going on in their lives and the weather. So for instance, so the light, like we get 9 hours and 37 minutes of sunlight, but people in Florida or in the Carolinas are getting 10 hours of sunlight. In fact, a friend's son was visiting from North Carolina and he was helping his mother with outside chores. And he's going, wait, it's only 5 o'clock. What's going on here? And the difference was between where he lived and where we live in the Midwest, we have a lot less light. And so that light impacts our bodies physically, it impacts us mentally, it stresses most people out because they are uncomfortable driving at night, the headlamps and everything. But the one thing that's so beautiful about this time of year in terms of light is the Christmas lights. Everybody has put up their Christmas lights sooner this year than in years past, at least as far as I can tell. And so it's really connects around. People get very depressed
Mm.
when the light is, I mean, my husband's one of them. He just
Oh,
really needs
yeah.
to sort of sit under a light. In
Okay.
fact, they make special lights for this time of year. So, but I'm with you about the fun that we can have. The thing that becomes important, though, is particularly in our business, is that people will come in and they'll say, I just hate Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it was so painful for them. I remember my mother when we were growing up, and it was the 1950s. You weren't supposed to be a divorcee. And she didn't make a lot of money as a bookkeeper. And she always disliked Christmas
Mm-hmm.
because she wanted to buy more gifts, but there weren't the resources to buy more gifts. And so a lot of people still carry that burden with them, or as a child, they have terrible memories of it, or
Mm-hmm.
the expectations. And so it becomes real important. One of the things that we like to call ourselves is a safe haven
Okay.
in terms of providing a place where people can come in. It's all right to not love all these different holidays, to express that you're unhappy with them or they haven't been good experiences, but to also bring some joy to them. Oh, so we're decorating our shop today, and we're
Oh,
one of our beautiful volunteer, Ruth Ann Hyduke, found this beautiful fairy tree. And so it's got purple lights and it's draping down, and it just will be part of what we decorate our shop with. So it's very exciting.
beautiful. I want to see the shop when it's all done. I missed the
Oh,
Halloween decorations. I got to get a tour.
we'll have to do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're just
seriously.
in the process of making that happen right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for sharing that. And also just want to remind everyone how we contact you. Could you just share the website one more time?
Yeah, it's www.prismscape.com. And you can reach us at info@prismscape.com.
Now, are you ever going to bring your husband on? Is he going to get behind the camera as well? In front of the
I
camera, I
could
should say.
do that. Sure.
Or is he camera shy?
It all depends. It just depends.
All right. No pressure today, but
Yeah.
maybe for the holidays. All right, continue. We're here talking
Okay.
obviously about gratitude
So,
this season. Go ahead.
yeah, so there was one more thing I wanted to say about divine service because in serving the divine, we recognize the wonder of being alive and discover the wealth
Mm.
of gratitude.
Ah,
And so that is probably one of the things that I find the most rewarding in doing the work that I do and the work that we do. And I think it's very, very important. So, oh, I did have one other thing that I thought was just absolutely fascinating. This was one of my Facebook posts. Somebody posted this, and it's sort of fitting for this time of year. Nobody escapes being wounded. We are all wounded people, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. The main question is not how can we hide our wounds so we don't have to be embarrassed, but how can we put our woundedness in the service of others when our wounds cease to be a source of shame and become a source of healing? We have become wounded healers. Isn't that an interesting
that is.
concept of service? It is not one that I had ever thought about before,
Yeah.
but I think that that is one of the things that sometimes, well, just think about the stories that we tell each other
Mm-hmm.
and how somewhere along the way we've been wounded. And so that's one of the ways we start to build community is by exchanging stories. And sometimes it's stories of how we've been
Yeah.
wounded. And so that becomes a service to help us to start to heal what has gone before and to allow us to move ahead into the future with less pain. It allows us to start to release the pain.
My
That
goodness.
has been part of that. So,
Oh. Well, also, I know you're here and some people may just be listening, they're not on the visual side of it, which is fine. You guys are on the podcast, but what I see, um, just you can look at someone like if we were on a Zoom, can you feel their aura, their energy, or do you need
yeah.
to be on the phone with them, or it's just you could pick it up anywhere?
Um, I think a lot for me, because I don't see auras, I know I have one friend who can just look at you and tell you whether you've got something going on in
Wow.
terms of the energy. They see your energy body. That is not a gift that I have. And it's really more with the voice or in terms of how people are talking. I can hear it more. And or if I'm in the room with them, then you can tell by their body movement of
Amazing.
how their day is. I mean, it's like I was over at the hair salon earlier today, and there was this one young woman who woke up. Well, she looked like she had literally just gotten out of bed. And so you could sort of tell that she really wasn't ready to be in the world, but she was there because she had an appointment. And so she had to be there. But yeah, you can usually tell people have different ways
Aw.
of determining whether or not someone needs a kind word. And because there are days when you just, people will ask people, so how are you doing today? And 3 times out of 5, they won't tell you the truth because,
Yeah.
if you're having a bad day, what are you going to say? So, it's really a terrible day today.
Mm.
We're more eager to just say, oh, it's a great day, or I'm doing just
I'm
fine.
fine. I'm fine. You don't want to burden someone. I get
Right.
it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that is really important this time of year because there's so much expectation around it.
Yeah.
This is a time when it becomes very critical to pay
Mm-hmm.
attention, particularly to anyone who's ever suffered depression,
Yep.
because this is a time of year when you'll often find people being suicidal,
Mm.
and there are people who are ununderstanding.
Aw.
Probably one of the things that I found very um, disheartening. A friend of mine works in a psych unit, and he is a social worker for them, and so he helps with the discharge and where uh, patients are going to go once they're released from the unit. And it's my understanding that many of them are now the transgender youth,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll call their families and they refuse to come get them
Ah.
because they have rejected them. And so that becoming conscious of how people are going through this world
Mm.
and understanding that their life is not our life. We probably live very privileged lives and very accepting and loving lives, but there are many people who had to struggle. One of the things that one of our programs, United Action for Youth, does is they have a program for homeless youth and they have a house for them. And there are parents who will literally kick their kids out and just say, you're on your own now. And
Oh.
it is something that we uh, can't imagine, but it is part of the world that we live in right now. And so that's when you start being really grateful for coming back to Thanksgiving. You have to be grateful for the fact that you have a wonderful home to provide to your children. So these little boys, I can imagine, are oftentimes considered spoiled.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
I
Yeah,
agree. I think
yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is a time to be sort of serious as well as to be very joyous and very excited about the future.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, spot on. Yeah, it's the holidays and the kids want, right?
Oh,
I'm
I
thinking,
yeah, no, we understood early on that it's very limited, and we would get something and something that was a real treasure. And but it is amazing. I know I when I moved from my family to my first husband's family, who had these gigantic
yeah.
celebrations, and I had never in my life seen anything like it. And it was really quite astounding to see how people can just have 20 presents instead of 2 to 5 presents. And so, yeah, yeah, it's a very, and then you have so many who really, they're going to rely on toys for tots
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And so it is a good time for giving. That's one reason why you'll get all your fundraising letters this time of year, because at the end of the year, it becomes
Yeah.
really important. And the need this year, according to my friends in the nonprofit area, this year, all of the nonprofits, the people serving the homeless, people serving the youth, the people serving the hungry are way down in fundraising. And so this is going to be one of those times where our donation can be something that they are grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Or volunteer your time, go to that shelter, go to that church. There's
Yes,
food pantry.
yes,
Yep. Hmm.
yeah.
Before I had kids, that's what I would do because Thanksgiving was never really big for me. So like
Mhm.
I'd rather give to others on that day because I'll celebrate the holidays with my family. I used to go to the church and
Mhm.
oh my gosh, we used to donate our time and cook the turkeys and the fixings for the homeless, and it was amazing. And my kids are a little young, but I want to bring them up. I want them to start doing that with me. And
That'll be great.
yeah, they're 7 and 9, so it's close. The 7-year-old impatience, yeah, another year or two, I think. But it's just
Yeah,
beautiful to give like that, I believe. Yeah,
yeah.
giving.
That is an absolutely wonderful thing. And so I think that these coming, we've got 5 weeks left in the year,
Oh my,
5 or 6. Yeah, it's not many
oh
because
my,
Thanksgiving, right? And then you
yeah.
have the month of December, and then we're done. And that is just because 2024 has been such an incredible year. It's been one that has been rewarding, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
excitement, but on the other hand, it's also been a very challenging year and tiring. I think one of the things that we have to understand is that people get very fatigued at this time of year. That's part of what happens when when the light disappears, is the energy level is much lower. And so they get, you know, like, oh, that's just going to be too much work or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. But yeah, so we'll have to find other ways to inspire us, to jazz us up, and get us ready to help others.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. Always a pleasure with you here, and wishing you an amazing Thanksgiving. Are we
Thank
on
you.
next week or are we on the week after? I don't know if
Let's
we've
do the week
rescheduled.
after.
All right.
Because
Looking
next week
forward
is
to that.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I didn't know if they rescheduled you another day. So I'll see you then in 2 weeks, okay?
Okay, that sounds excellent. Thank
Thank
you
you. You
so
have a
much.
great day and enjoy the time with your family. Thanks so
You
much.
too.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.